So today we're going to be talking about a subject known as marketing. As you see, this is what we call lesson 8. The total number of lessons for the workshop is probably lesson 14. So this is lesson 8. It begins to talk about marketing and marketing strategies. A lot of the information that we're going to be using for this workshop is coming out of the Urban Alternative. That's a group that put together a presentation on marketing. The information is going to be somewhat dated. It was done in 2005. But because I think all of the information is relevant, we're going to go over that and put in some updates since this piece came out. Okay, now, 1 second. Good. So we start with what is social marketing? So what is social marketing? Social marketing is to learn what people want and what they need. Social marketing sells ideas, attitudes, and behavior. That's how I use it. And that's why I was able to get that award. It seeks to influence social behavior for the benefit of the target population and the public good. So whereas this was done in 2005, they didn't have the forthwith knowledge to know what's going on here in 2022 and how we're taking it to a different level in terms of using social media. I don't think in 2005 Facebook was that popular, LinkedIn wasn't that popular, and Twitter wasn't that popular as it is today. So what else does social media marketing do for us? Well, it connects us to potential supporters with opportunity to use their resources to impact the community. Well, traditionally, it's financial donors, but you can also attract potential employees. When you go out to start hiring employees, they're going to be attracted to what your social focus is. Volunteers, they're going to be impressed with what you're doing. And the organization will be successful or not be successful based on the number of volunteers you can get into that organization. Because the more free label that you have, the more you're able to get out your message and what you're trying to do. Partner organizations, that's important. You want to know folks know that, hey, look, we can't do this all by ourselves, so we want to partner with you. And you want to be able to show on social media why they want to partner with you. And then the different vendors that you'll be going. You want to also make sure that you're reaching out to them as a potential supporter. Contrary to population, is that, I'm saying that right? Contrary to population, contrary to what? Contrary to popular belief or something. Anyway, what I was trying to say, man, is that people think the only type of money you can bring in is from financial donors.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of support. They don't understand there's several types of support that you want to bring. Volunteers, potential employees, etc. Okay, let's continue. This is very important. Positioning is very important. Position is how your organization is defined by those who you are targeting in light of alternative, that is the competitors in the marketplace. We have positioned ourselves in terms of technical assistance to nonprofits and technical assistance to for-profits as a leading entity. That's how we position ourselves. The fact that we was able to get that award shows that we have positioned ourselves correctly to target our population. And no better way of showing that than get an award showing that you're among the best in the year 2022 in an organization that looks at all organizations in terms of the business side of the table. The fact that you was able to position yourself, and again, they're going to go back to what we're going to talk about later. It's called branding. But anyway, positioning yourself is very important because when you position yourself, you're ready for opportunity.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk some more about positioning. Well, what should you do when you try to position yourself? Well, you should talk about the services that you offer, that you will offer will actually be seen as a benefit to the target user. Don't just talk about you're going to do video for the young person. Talk about the benefits that that person will have, hard skills for potential employment. That person will be able to tell a story, etc., etc., etc. The other thing is what makes you unique versus your competitors and your alternatives. Now, competitors and alternates is not bad, but competitors is who you try to put yourself next to so that you can do it better than your competitors. So this is where you begin to talk about that. Well, what's unique about you? We're unique because we provide a service that attracts the bright at-risk youth that are presenting a problem to the overall community. That will be an example of that. You just need to show what's unique. For us, what's unique about us is that we provide a comprehensive, holistic approach to business development that includes all facets. And we do it as a way that is unique to our competitors because we in fact combine their strategy into one unique strategy. So that would be an example.
Gotcha.
Now, your positioning should be driven by your mission statement. Your mission statement is always the guideline that you use in order to do what you do. If what you do is not in line with your mission statement, then it's contrary to your purpose.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's continue. Now, this gives an example of a church whose mission is to impact the world. And they talk about, it talks about what it is that they're trying to do. Because then with their mission, then they can then proceed on with what they want to do. Our example, our mission is to provide quality, affordable, efficient services to nonprofits and small businesses. That would be our mission statement. Your mission statement is going to differ. Every group has a different mission. Remember when we talked last week about vision and mission and all those other things?
Yes.
We say that the vision is the big picture and the mission is how you plan to carry out to reach the vision.
Yes.
Okay, let's continue. Okay, understanding the market mix drives your organization's position. Now, these things right here, the 4 P's are going to be very important. The 4 areas of marketing mix may be adequately addressed before you can communicate to the public. That is, all of these 4 P's have to be addressed. What are the 4 P's? The 4 P's. Product. Hold up. This one is a little bit too quick. Products. That's the P, first P. And that deals with the type of services or product that you're trying, the type of services or product you're trying to bring to the market. Place, your location of services. Price, what is the value of those goods and the services to the consumer and the end user. And then finally, promotion, public awareness or brand of your organization and the services offered. We're going to go individually to talk about each of these 4 P's to get a better understanding of what they include. Okay. And examine your market mix. Again, we're talking about the mix of the market. Think about the following question. And you've done this already. What are your services? Do they respond to consumers' needs and wants? That's where you do that need assessment. Remember we talked about the way to collect qualitative data? This is how you would be able to identify does what you do meet the community needs? And you do it with that qualitative data by doing focus groups. You sit down and you talk to people, or interviews, or surveys, or any of those strategies that we talked about when you're dealing with qualitative data. This is where that information comes from. Because based on that, then you can say these are the needs that the people that we're trying to address have, and the baggage as well. For example, let's say, you do a focus group with the population of young people. And what you find during that focus group is that, yeah, your program is real good, but most of them don't drive. And the program doesn't have accessibility for buses, so they won't be able to get there. So all those things could play a part in that particular, does this program meet the consumer needs? Because accessibility is one of those very important things. And then you want to ask them, you want to present your whole program to them and ask them, how would you make it better? Because you want to show that we're constantly trying to improve by asking the people we serve, what can make us better? Now, how many groups do you know that do that? But that's a marketing strategy.
Wow.
We constantly let the people, not us, we constantly let the people tell us if our services are meeting those deliverables. And the other thing you want to do is to talk about how are your services different from other organizations in the area. That's when you'll be able to first identify what other organizations provide services similar to yours. Then you begin to emphasize how your services differ from them in a unique way. Okay, let's continue. Okay. The other thing is, what benefits will consumers derive from your services? It's the location. We talked about that earlier. Is the location convenient for your consumers? Is transportation an issue? We talked about that earlier. If so, how are you resolving it? Do you charge fees? If yes, can the target population afford it? So all these are questions to be part of your thinking as you begin to put together the 4 P's to your marketing strategy. Okay, most nonprofits don't have to address this, but one of the things you should take into consideration, are you addressing prohibitive costs, that is institute expenses? Is the plan for fundraising, sliding scale fees, or scholarship? So how do you plan to address that? And you quickly can say, well, we plan to focus on fundraising through grants in order to make it free for those who are attending the class. And it could be income sensitive, meaning that, well, if you come to our class and it's going to be a sliding fee, so that means that bulk of the cost of the program, if you meet our client need, it's going to be paid through grants. So we charge you this $5. On the other hand, if you come from a well-to-do family and you can pay, then you're going to charge them what the full price would normally be. So it becomes a sliding fee type of thing.
Gotcha.
Okay, who knows about your organization and its services? Again, that goes to your marketing strategy. People know about us nationally because we use social media in such a way to have a present every day. Every day you see, we pop up every day with something. It's like people even waiting to anticipate what they got new today. What's important, make sure you got something new every day. Don't repeat the same thing. Every time you hit them, we hit them with something new. And then how are you perceived in the community? For example, our organization is perceived as a fighter for the community, an entity that will work with the community to design, create, market, implement, and fund their vision. What is your plan to communicate your story to the public? Again, ours is simple. We communicate it not only through social media, but we also use other things like Nextdoor, which is a internet site you can go to identify the neighborhood groups and community groups in your area. So we go there, for example, if I'm doing something in West Tampa, I go to Nextdoor and I drop something in Nextdoor. I also go to the individual neighborhood groups Facebook page. So many different ways you can do in order to communicate your service to the public. But it's important that you do that. You can also use newspapers, TV, etc. Okay, now let's get more about product and services. They begin to talk about product and services, and they give some example. For example, they talk about mentors through public schools, they talk about technology and education through technical institutions, and on and on. The key is to making sure that you're breaking down your product and your services. Our product and services include grant writing development, business plan development, strategic planning, marketing, etc., etc., etc. But this is where you highlight your product and your services that you're going to offer. Place turnaround. Talk about their place and your turnaround. They right here talk about their place, their location is going to be Bible Fellowship, and they're gonna try to identify 65 public school systems where they plan to bring that product and service to. Okay, everybody do it differently, but make sure you look at where the place where you at and how you plan to articulate to those places. In your case, you were going to schools and churches and those other entities that can use video type of impact.
Yes, sir.
Price. Well, prices. It may be a nominal fee, might be charged for services. Most services are free to those in need, or it might be done through fundraising to support the budget. When we go into budget, we're going to talk about more ways to create different sources of streamlines of funding. Okay, but to keep in mind, pricing is very important. I always suggest to nonprofits, even if you're getting a grant, that you charge a marginal fee of $5 to that individual that's taking that class. And even if that individual can't take it and pay it, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But what you're trying to show is that while this is free, your commitment is showing your commitment by paying a nominal fee.
Mhm.
And the funders are gonna like that as well.
Gotcha.
Okay, then promotion. Notice how they're using their promotion. Public schools, churches, announcement, and radio. We know now this is antiquated in terms of the strategy. The strategy now should be on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and all those other social formats. Even when it comes to radio, you no longer go to the radio station, but you go to the radio Facebook page and you begin to drop in stuff. So everything, this is antiquated, but the way the new school and next generation way of promotion is going to the Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter page and dropping your information in there. That's why you always gonna have little videos that you do to promote.
Gotcha.
Now, those videos that you're doing to promote your organization, if possible, should be anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes. Very short. What we know from market research, most people don't go past 3 minutes. That's why you want to make those 3 minutes the most important. Even though the tape might be 15 minutes. Make sure you get everything you need in those first 3 minutes, because nobody's going to be paying any attention to the remaining.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything else related to promotion that you think might be new and not here? YouTube is another way you can use to promote it. So these promotions again are dated because they was put around in 2005.
Oh yeah.
But I just shared with you the updated way of doing it. Now we still can use newspapers because the fact of the matter is that you can do public service announcement. Newspaper will publish it. I always, when I do an event, send it to the newspaper to get published because it's a nonprofit. You can go to the TV station like Fox 45 and Bay News 9, and they will advertise it. So there's new ways of using the strategy by way of the internet.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. This is important.
Branding.
When most people think of branding, it's usually organization name and logo that come to mind. Although the company name and logo are a part of the branding, actually, branding the organization involves much more than coming up with a name and a slick logo. Again, I go back to the war that we just won. We was able to brand ourselves as the leading nonprofit in terms of the service that we provide. We were able to do that because we did so many videos of people talking about our service and how important it is. So that we brand ourselves in such a way that when the Center for Nonprofit and Community Nonprofit comes up, there's an image. Oh yeah, they help nonprofits and businesses. That's what we mean by branding. It goes beyond the logo and the slick name, and it goes to what people know you for. Let's break that down. That is, what does your organization name stand for in the marketplace? When someone hears your name or see your logo, what immediately comes to mind? Or does anything come to mind? In our case, when you hear when you hear the Center for Nonprofit and Community Development, what comes to mind? Oh, this organization that helps. It helps. It builds community. It helps businesses with building to capacity. It helps. That's the image you want to have to come into mind. Because when someone see the arch, what does it come in mind? McDonald's.
McDonald's, that's right.
What had McDonald's been able to do? They've been able to show this is where a family comes to.
Yes.
But you know the mastermind, and I think and maybe more, but the mastermind when it comes to branding is Amazon.
Amazon.
What's on that box you see when you get it?
Smiling face.
Okay, sir. That's called subliminal branding.
Yes,
You
sir.
say, look, I'm so happy. What do you do? Go back and buy more. And people don't know subliminal. That's that message of that smile. So I think that Amazon has gotten it to the T with that smile. You know, but that definitely with that smile. Even better than McDonald's, even Google, even the rest of them. I think they have really gotten it. Then the other thing we talk about in terms of social media, and I want to go back just a second. The mega universe is going to be the way of the future for businesses. So I'm following that mega universe closely. Okay, now, all right, let's continue to move on. Okay, going back to the branding. Okay, that leads us to a real definitions of branding. Read the real definition of branding for us.
That leads us to the real definition of branding. It is the sum total of an organization's identity from its name and logo to the communication and interactions with customers and potential customers.
That is the key definition of branding. You know, what is the image that comes up when someone hears your name? Now, for example, IRS. When somebody hear IRS, it's like, oh my God, please, not the IRS. They didn't mean to brand themselves as that, but that's the way they branded. When somebody say, oh, what IRS? Oh my God, right? So that's what we mean by branding. What do people come to know you for?
Yeah.
Okay? And that's so important, branding, because branding can lead to the money that you can charge top dollar for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's why. What do we need? What's that? Chanel 5 or Chanel 6?
Yeah.
One of those expensive cologne for females, we wouldn't know, but they use Chanel 5 or Chanel 6. They will pay $100 for that. Branding, because what the name is for. Well, Chanel 5 or 6, whichever one of those are, perfume, they're saying, look, if you try this, that means you part of the upper class, the elite. So people paying money just because of that. It was excellent in the way they branded their product.
Yes,
that's
sir.
Another example of branding.
Gotcha.
Or Michael Jordan paying like, what, $150, $300 for tennis shoes.
Yes, sir.
It's not the tennis shoe. It's Mike Jordan, the brand.
Yes,
it's
sir.
always the brand that people are paying for. Okay, right. I think those are some good examples. All right, let's look for what impact the brand. We talked about it. The product and services, the benefit to the customers. The organizational environment, that's very important. People want to feel as though they're working in a safe environment. You got qualified employees. Your customer service is second to none. Your customer service, if you lack that, you can lose customers. Your core values, the look and cleanliness of your business and accessibility. Again, accessibility goes to that clientele. Accessibility means that a lot of people that might want to take your class don't have transportation. So the question is it near a bus stop? Is it near one of your hotline stops? It's not that far away. So that's one of the things you want to take into consideration, because no matter how good your service is,
people can't get there.
People can't get to you. Also consider doing online classes as well.
Yes, sir.
So you can reach even a larger population of people. That way you got it going on face-to-face, and also You got a class like online. Just like I do my classes online. Same thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, same thing. But this time people have to pay to get in the class. You would charge a fee, they could get into the class, right? Unless they part of a grant.
Gotcha.
But they don't talk about that here because again, this is dated back to 2005. But I think they give at least a basic outline. Okay, the organization's communication. Again, the logo, the mission statement, core values. I can't overemphasize those core values. Public relationship. Oh man, public relationship can kill you if the people perceive that you being treated less than what you should be when they paying their money or they taking their time to work with you. And advertising, that's gonna be important also. Now, organizational systems, policies, procedures, sound business practices, regulations, hours of operation, organizational structure, and infrastructure all play part of branding.
Gotcha.
Here's an example. This is ice cream, and this is how they plan to brand. Give us the 4 different ways. Talk about promise. What's the promise? Talk about the product and its service. Talk about the system, and then the corporate environment.
The promise, reputation, experience, nomenclature, logo, pricing, news, advertising, collateral.
That's the promise.
Products and services, quality, performance, warranties, value.
That's the services.
Corporate environment, employees, attitudes, customer service, values, strategic thinking.
That's the corporate environment.
Systems, procedures, availability, rules, regulations, etc.
Combined together, this is a good example of branding. Okay, let's go here. Okay, read those 2 things about branding.
The logo is the point of entry to the brand, the sum total of the organization's identity. A logo is a symbol of identity. It is the visual expression of the brand. It makes an emotional connection with the consumer.
As long as you brand it correctly. That logo means nothing if people don't know about you or they don't have no feeling about you. That's why everybody go, I want to get my logo out there. You know, I want to really get that logo out there and I want to get that advertisement out there. I say you need to brand yourself. That logo means nothing unless you brand yourself. Mm-hmm. But this is what a logo is. Again, this is sum total of the organization identity. So it's very important in conjunction with making sure you branding yourself correctly. Okay, let's continue. Again, it goes back to the emotional connection with the consumer. The emotional connection with that consumer. We call this right here in terms of branding. I mean, in terms of marketing, psychographic. How do you appeal to them? There are 4 ways. You got your demographic, you got your psychographics. And that's why you want to appeal to the mind, the emotional connection, and you use psychographic, demographic, geographic, and then you got your behavioral model. We're going to talk about all 3 of these models when we go deep into the area of how do you connect to your customers. But just remember that it's psychographic, behavioral, demographic, and geographic. Geographic deals with what?
Area.
The area. Demographic deals with what?
The population, how many?
Population, Black, white, young, old, rich, poor, Catholic, Protestant, etc., etc. Psychographics deal with what is a psychic. How does a person think?
Mindset, yes, sir.
And then behavior is how does they act.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Okay, I diverted for a second, but anyway, I just want to throw those out because we're gonna get into those more deep during another session. Okay, let's continue on with this. A well thought out logo. Talk about what is a well thought out logo.
A well thought out logo would be bold, memorable, and appropriate. Be immediately recognizable. Provide clear and consistent company image. Communicate company's persona. Be legally protectable.
Ho 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 ho. They say be legally protected. What do they mean by that?
Be legally protectable. All your paperwork is done and you got the insurance and stuff.
Well, no, but there's a thing called intellectual property.
Intellectual property.
In that case, if you got a logo, you want to get a trademark.
Yeah.
So nobody can use that logo. So that's why you want to be legally protected. Try to use McDonald's logo, the arts, and see once you will be sued in court.
Quick, fast, and
Try to use the smiling faces that Amazon uses and see won't you be sued in court. So you have to be legally, make sure you're legally protected. And there are 3 ways that you can legally protect yourself. We can do the patent. That's when you got a design or something like that you want to come out with.
Mm-hmm.
We can do the copyright. That's when like you're a songwriter and you want to protect your words, you write books. Or the final one is trademark. That's where the symbol is protected.
Yes.
So far, so good?
So far, so good.
Good. Let's continue on.
Work well across media and scale.
Yeah, that's important.
Work both black and white and color.
That's important. When you send something out and you're trying to be all fashionable and it look all good in color, make sure it looks just as good if it's in black and white.
Yes.
If that because sometimes people have might have the outlet that they have to look at your data is not as sophisticated, so it distorts the color. Mm-hmm. If you do it in black and white, they got the option that it will look good. So always do it in both black and white.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's continue. Okay, read this for me.
For the company name and logo to stand for something, it must be widely circulated and backed by quality products and or programs, good customer service, effective communications, and social business practices.
That's how we received our award. Because of this. Because of our ability to make sure our logo and what we stand for is widely circulated. That becomes something that begins to get you the attention that you need. And it's free. I didn't pay for this award, but it came to me because of what I was doing and what I was producing. Mm-hmm. It's good to have an organization that say the best in business service product in the year 2022. It goes to show you doing what you're doing. And sir, that all came from how we brand you. People think I'm this multi-billion-dollar corporation. And I said, no, I'm one person. I said, but look, I give an image as if I was. And that's what the people that gave that award was so impressed with.
Yes.
They said, you running around doing more than an organization, got 10, 15 employees, got an advertising budget of $3 million, and what you're doing is phenomenal. So that's why they gave that to me. And they emphasize it's quality and not quantity. You know, and I had to look back and I just smiled at that one right there. They say it's not about all this right here, but it's about quality, the quality. And they say it's sustainable. The service he provides is sustainable and it's the best practice. I say, okay. I said, I got to get this over to. Did I send you something, Charles?
You did. You sent me a thing and told me that you got it.
I got to send this over to Charles, man. Look, Charles, look.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's continue. I always get sidestepping. Okay, knowing your customers. Very important. Read that for us, Charles.
Knowing your customers also helps the organization to properly position itself in the community. Too many nonprofits view their clients, consumers of services, as their only customers, which is a big mistake. There are many individuals and groups that impact the success of your nonprofit.
And it's so very, very important. It is the collective that you impact in terms of individuals and groups for the nonprofit to be successful. And you can't be your nonprofit as the many nonprofits as the only as the consumers as your only customers. Your funders are your customers. Government is your customers. Anybody that you're trying to perceive what you're doing is your customers.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Okay, now talk about this.
Who are your key customers, recipients of your services, employees and volunteers, donors and contributors, program partners?
Nonprofits have to think that our clients is not only our services, our recipient of our services, but it includes our employees, our volunteers, our donors, our contributors, and our program partners. Okay. All right, read this one.
Knowing your customers. All customers are not equal in their role with the agency. Each individual and group has its own interests, needs, and wants. The level of relationship the organization has with each will determine their priority to the organization.
The needs of your clients related to recipients of your benefit is that you provide a service that they need. The needs of your donors is that you provide that service that make them shine, and that's why they're giving you the money.
Mm-hmm.
The needs of your employees is that you provide a good employee benefit packet. The needs of your partners is that you provide a vehicle to make them better than they was. That is coming together with you is going to increase their value, for example. But yeah, the level, depending upon who it is, the way you approach it in terms of how you respond to the need is by what they are. Donors are different. You want to appeal to the donors' need in terms of the impact, because they want to see the good that you're doing. Why? Because they want to be able to say that stockholders, look what we're doing. Look at our impact. The clients who's the recipient, they don't care less about the donors, your employees. They only want to know the services that you provide is going to provide some type of impact in their life that's going to make that quality of life be improved. So again, it depends on who the recipient is. All recipients are not just clients.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me quickly go through this. It impacts the time and energy and resources that you pour into the organization. A good exercise for your staff is to list each customer type, their connection and value, along with their needs, interests, and wants. Next, then you determine how you can respond in terms of customer satisfaction. So, in many ways, your organization has to have a plan. They give an example. For example, notice the difference in your treatment of major donors, a client, or a program volunteer. Treating them differently isn't wrong. The people with the money, you're going to treat one way.
Mm-hmm.
The people that you serve, you're going to treat another way. Your employees and volunteers, you're going to treat another way.
Yes.
Always want to make your donors happy. Those are the ones that make sure you can do the service to your clients.
Mhm.
So, but you treat each level differently. Have a written plan or a set of standards for each customer type. You don't have to get this deep. As you move forward to bringing in millions, yeah, that's when you're going to start doing this specifically. At the end of your fiscal year, conduct a customer satisfaction survey. This is so important. It goes back to feedback. At the end of the year, actually, I would say quarterly, ask your clients, your donors, and everybody else, how are we performing? What can we do to be better? And do that quarterly throughout the grant cycle. First, nobody else is doing it. Secondly, you position yourself to be a one of a kind. Especially the donors, they're gonna say, we're impressed with that. We might ask them for a report every 6 months, but they're doing it quarterly. And asking us, are we meeting your standard? Can you imagine how donors gonna feel about that?
Wow.
Or a client survey, are we doing what we're supposed to do? Share with us what we can do better. And rate us on a scale from 1 to 10.
Wow.
That's going to be so important in terms of making sure that you got your back covered. Okay, let's continue. Okay, then the other thing is how well you treat your staff and your volunteers. Good customer service, that's very important. More than anything else, it is the essence of marketing. Good customer services. Good customer service. And you let your employees know your salary increase is going to be based upon the survey that we do from our customers as to how you treat them. Because when you put it like that to your employees, they're going to make sure that they servicing those customers because they realize a bad report could handle their increase in salary. And that's how salary should be thrown out. That every year we're going to increase salary is going to be based upon what is the feedback that we're getting from the clients. That way you keep your employees on point. They understand it's performance driven.
Performance driven. Mm-hmm.
And the most important people are our clients. Because without our clients, they can't pay nobody, right?
That's right.
So that's why it's so important, because you become the face of the organization. We don't want to go online and see bad reviews on there, right? We can't afford that.
No.
So you emphasize that to your staff. And everything that you do communicates your message directly or indirectly. Public, verbal, and written messages to your, well, in this case, let's say community, because this is written for a church group, but in this case, public, verbal, and written messages to your community by your leadership is very important. Again, your employees and volunteer policies and business dealing with suppliers, outside agencies, partners, political community leaders, media, etc. Make sure you have a written policy that and you articulate to everybody how you interact. Okay, now we're coming down to the end. What rights or wrong depends on the visibility of the leaders, well, of the community. Now this is focused on church, but I'm doing this generally. So what right or wrong depends upon the visibility of the leaders of a nonprofit in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they talk about branding, they talk about consider this thoroughly. They say, and this is important, be strategic in either reinforcing this connection or moderating it. Develop a plan. That plan should be talk about your objectives, your strategies, and your tactics. And this is just for communication. But you have to develop a communication plan. Doesn't have to be that elaborate, but customers and clients like to see that you got something on paper that shows that communication is very important to us. In fact, we created a plan that we live by.
Mhm.
Okay. And then finalize and execute the plan. And that goes to making sure that you have all the necessary materials and information to get out there. You inform everyone in your organization of the upcoming communication plan, and you ensure that the appropriate persons are available to answer media questions. Because once you go out there and start doing media stuff, people are going to be calling in. You want to make sure you got the right people to respond to those questions. Okay, and then it talks about, again, communication. And it says, be prepared for the future of your plan. And it talks about that. It talks about assuming your plan will be successful. And thank all of those involved with the success of the implementation of the plan. I would take my people out to lunch.
Yes.
Now, once you get that plan up and running, every time you reach a milestone with your clients, especially with your staff, take them out to lunch.
Celebrate.
Yes, that's so important. Reinforce that you care about them. It's the little things that you do for your employees.
Yes.
Christmas, bash at Christmas, and bonus, things like that, man. Things like that. Make your employees know you care about them.
Mhm.
Okay, next. And then we talked about this earlier, and we talked about this list is antiquated, and we talked about all of the different ways, which is the internet, which is the best way to get across your organization message, be it Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all those other mechanisms that you can use. Billboards, well, you got to be really big if you're going to put a billboard up. But once you get big enough, these are some other ways you can do it, right?
Yeah.
Kiosks, promotion, and networking, etc. Always dream big. I'm saying one day I might have a billboard up. I'm serious. You're gonna be riding through. It's gonna say the Center for Nonprofit Community Work. Whoa! You got to think big when you're doing things, right? Because it can't happen unless you think big. You might not get there, but you can say, man, look, I was fighting to get there. I might not get there, but it didn't mean I didn't put in the time.
I'm going to
Okay, media provides an opportunity to get the word out, become personal. Find out who are the different radio personalities. Learn who they are, build personal relationship. Publications, man, like the Tampa Times, or what, Tampa Tribune, what is it, Tampa Times or Tampa, what is that newspaper? Anyway, the Tampa Tribune or whatever. You want to connect, what's another one? The Florida Sentinel, for example.
No.
All of those news people you want to get personal relationship with.
Mhm.
Television, you want to identify who those television personality are, and of course, the internet is key. Again, this is dated because the internet should have been emphasized big time.
Yes.
Okay, and then it's a capitalize on any news or current issues, providing a natural link to promote your your mission. Every time I do something, I drop something in the newspaper. When I say newspaper, I mean on the internet, because every news station, every TV station, every newspaper got an internet that you can go in and just drop in.
Mhm.
And keep your issues, know your issues, become an expert. That's so important. You have to become an expert because everybody will always try to tell you down. So know your issue and become an expert or the authorities on those issues. That goes into doing what are the two types of research that we learn this from?
Quantitative and qualitative.
Hello.
Yes,
Those
sir.
two terms keep coming back, don't they?
Yes, sir.
They are the essence of grant writing, quantitative and qualitative. No matter what we do, you're gonna always be able to come back and say, oh, that falls under that. Okay, let's continue on. And then find ways to let the media know who you are. That's very important. And keep your issues visible to the news. Again, we drop something every week, at least once a week, if not once a day. When we publicize, we drop something in the Florida Syndicate. I'll go to that Facebook page and I'll drop something on what we're doing. I'll go to the Tampa Tribune. I'll drop something in on the same time. I'll drop something in on what we're doing. Usually the time you have to write in the newspaper and publish in that article. Right now, you can go right to that site and drop in.
Wow.
And people will see it. I know the newspaper's not gonna like me telling them, but it's true. All right, next coming up. Yeah, news is unusual. Make sure if something happened unexpectedly and out of the ordinary. I always try to frame my when I drop something, it's like it's new. It's something out of the ordinary. People are not doing this. News has changed. Whenever something important changes, the change is likely to be newsworthy. News impact. Anything that has a significant impact or effect on people's lives, it's news. See, everything, and most of the time we don't use that everything we do is news. We just got to put it out there so people can see what we're doing.
Yes.
When you go over to those, I know you got 2 locations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure in both of those locations you do a little video. And you talk about the location, let's get people ready and all like that. Okay? That's one thing you want to do once you got that set up. Go directly to the studio, say, yeah, this is what we plan to do. Actually do the hard skill training here. This is what it's going to consist of. Bam.
Okay.
You're going to be surprised. You might get a news station say, oh, I see what you're doing over there. Can we do a news article on it? Again, news is impact. Use every strategy you can to get their attention.
Okay.
News is also make it interesting. Sometimes events doesn't have much of an impact on people, but it's interesting in itself. So if it's something interesting, news is timely. Don't talk about what happened a year ago. Don't even talk about what happened 6 months ago, or 6 weeks ago, or 6 days ago. Talk about what is new. Yesterday news, my friend, is old news. That's why I tell you, every time I come online, I do something new. You know, something new. That is, people are expecting you to come with something. They're just waiting. What's the latest thing they're going to do? Every time they hit something, it's something new. It's something we didn't even think about. That's how you got to keep them out there, right? And you will build an audience, man, that way. They will follow you every time you press. They will say, I'm not having my coffee yet because they haven't posted yet, right? So you want to get that type of effect on people. So news is about people. When people accomplish something, do something wrong, or even when they die, a news story may be the result. The more prominent person is, the more likely his or her activities will qualify as news. News is surprising. Whenever something happens unexpectedly, it is news. Good. This is just giving some tips related to local media, determine your target audience, develop a list of contacts in local media, keep procedures and getting information into the newspaper. That's very important. Know what the procedures is. For example, they might say, well, you have to put in your event 30 days before the event, or 2 weeks, or whatever the case might be. So know what the procedures is. Also, they might say it can only be 100 words or 200 words. So know exactly what the procedures is in order to get your stuff published in the newspaper.
Gotcha.
And watch for news, national and local news event related topics as well. Develop a newsworthy story idea. Be prepared to speak with reporters and editors. And find out your local media access public service announcement. And I can tell you right now, they do. They do. All of them do. And above all, be professional, friendly, and creative. Ha! Hold on 1 second.